Welcome back to English 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced. Yes, that's right. It is time for the advanced portion of today's class 156. 156. That's right. Moving along through the material. And we only have a few more translation lists left. We had a few sentences yesterday that we didn't get to look at, so we'll get to those today, I promise. But first, a little review with the phrasal verb catch on. Do you remember this? Catch on. And I said, did CDs catch on? CDs. Remember CDs? Compact discs. What does CD stand for? ¿Qué significa? When we say ¿qué significa, in terms of acronyms, we say, what does it stand for? CD stands for compact disc. And they caught on, yes. So, ponerse de moda, imponerse, popularizarse. To become popular. But it also means darse cuenta de algo or entender algo. So understand something. Are you catching on to my accent? Are you catching on to what I'm saying? Was it easy for you to catch on to my accent? Or was it difficult? Maybe it took some time for you to catch on to my accent. So I asked you yesterday about CDs. Did CDs catch on? Yes, they did. They certainly did. They caught on. Tapes, records caught on, and then tapes came along and caught on and made vinyl records almost obsolete. And then CDs caught on, and tapes, cassette tapes, have faded in terms of popularity. And now we have these, CDs, we have, really MP3 technology catching on, has definitely caught on. Although I read an article recently about the resurgence of vinyl records and the popularity of vinyl records, because I think if you like to have a tangible copy of a record for the sake of having the artwork, well, the vinyl makes sense because it's bigger. It doesn't take up that much space because it's so thin. You can stack them. But if you're interested in collecting them as collector's items, the vinyl as a format allows for a lot of creative artwork, and people like the idea of physically putting a record onto a turntable. And also, I was reading. I was listening to an interview with a producer who claims that the sound quality is actually better in many ways, and on certain records it's better on the vinyl version than it is in MP3 version, because a lot of the sounds, not because the technology was worse now by any means. The technology is much better, certainly, but the way that albums are recorded now, the sound is compressed in such a way that the producers know that the album is going to be converted to MP3 format, so they compress the sound, and it doesn't have that rich, sort of warm sound that was common on vinyl records in the 1970s and 80s. So a lot of these people and these fans of these older groups, they really insist on listening to the albums in their original vinyl versions to capture that sound better, they say. But yes, so CDs have caught on, MP3s have caught on. The new Coke, do you remember the new Coke? I don't know if it was popular, if it appeared in Spain or not, but certainly in the United States and in Canada, Coca-Cola launched a product in the 80s called the new Coke, the new Coca-Cola. And it was a flavor. It was a slightly different, slightly modified flavor. And it was in response to Pepsi. They wanted to deal with the increasing popularity of Pepsi. So they modified their flavor, the recipe a little bit. And they had the new Coke. But people hated it. It was a failure. It didn't catch on. It did not catch on. So what they did in the United States, when they returned to the original formula for Coca-Cola, they started calling it Coca-Cola Classic. Now, it doesn't say that on the cans and bottles here in Spain, but in North America, you see Coca-Cola Classic. It says that to remind you that it's not this new, changed Coke, but rather the Coca-Cola that you're accustomed to and that was popular. It's the Coca-Cola de toda la vida, let's say, the standard Coca-Cola Classic. So they needed to bring it back and call it Coca-Cola Classic because the new Coke didn't catch on. Here we go with our phrasal verb, to catch on, to gain mainstream acceptance and popularity, to catch on. Okay. Right now, I'd like to move on now to translation list number 56, because we didn't get through it all, so let's take a few minutes now to look at that translation list. Translation. All right, friends, it is time for translation list number 56. Number 1. Creo que el cambio vale la pena. I think the change is worthwhile. Que vale la pena. I think the change is worthwhile. Number 2. Solo nos quedan 2 listas por hacer. We only have 2 lists left to do. We only have 2 lists left to do. Number 3. Ha sido un día ajetreado. It's been a hectic day. It's been a hectic with the H, hectic day. Yes, it's been a hectic day. I've had a lot of work to do. It's been a hectic day. Number 4. No me apetece hacer nada. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like doing anything. Number 5. Si ese es el caso, no cuentes conmigo. If that's the case, count me out. Count me out. Don't count me in. Count me out. No cuentes conmigo. Count me out. Number 6. No puedes descartar ninguna posibilidad. You can't rule out any possibility. Descartar, to rule out. You can't rule out any possibility. You can't rule out any possibility. Number 7. Lo sabían de antemano. They knew it beforehand. Beforehand, de antemano, beforehand. They knew it beforehand. Number 8. Le dije que iba a una boda. I told him I was going to a wedding. I told him I was going to a wedding. Yes. Okay, number 9. Cuando volví al parking, mi coche había desaparecido. When I got back to the parking lot, my car was gone. It was gone. When I got back to the parking lot, my car was gone. Number 10. Llama a este número y deja sonar el teléfono por lo menos 30 veces. Llama a este número. Call this number and let the telephone ring at least 30 times. Call this number and let the telephone ring at least 30 times. Number 11. Las cifras de ventas son muy alentadoras. The sales figures are very encouraging. The sales figures are very encouraging. Yes. Number 12. Tengo una buena noticia para ti. I have some good news for you. I have some good news for you. Yes. Some, we say. I have some good news for you. Not a good news, but some. I have some good news for you. Oh, good. Thank you. I have some good news for you. Excellent. Okay, good. I hope you did well on this list. I have some good news for you, actually. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4 lists left because, it only goes up to translation list number 60. So we're getting there. We're approaching the end in terms of the lists. At least plenty of classes, but not so many lists. So take advantage of them. Okay, take advantage of the lists. Let's move on now and take a look at our expression of the day.
Expression of the day.
All right, it is time for the expression of the day. Our expression of the day is to be packed. We say packed like sardines. So imagine you have a can of sardines. Now, the sardines are not loose in the can. They're packed. They're very tight. So packed like sardines it's completely agotado. Well, that's sold out really, but abarrotado, we say crowded. If the place is crowded, if a concert is sold out, for example, we say it's packed, it's full, it's sold out. But if it's really tight, there are people everywhere, I can't move, it's packed. The place is packed. It's packed like sardines, we say. Packed like sardines. Okay. Now, as we move on into class 156, we see to make up. To make up. To make up can be to recuperate. To make up, to make it up, or to make up for lost time, for example, to make up for something. To make up for the loss. Compensar la pérdida. To make up for his lack of experience, to compensate for his lack of experience. Do you think maturity can make up for lack of experience? I think it can. I think maturity, if you're not experienced in some field, as long as you're a mature person, you can often compensate with that. You can often make up. Maturity can often make up for lack of experience, I think. Do you think a good attitude can make up for lack of skills? I think so. I think a good attitude can make up for a lot of things. Yes. Yes. Can a nice favor make up for a mistake that you've made, do you think? If you do someone a favor, I'm sorry for my mistake here, and you do them a favor, can you make up for the mistake? Sometimes. It depends on the mistake, of course. It always depends, doesn't it? I think that confidence can often, to a certain extent, can make up for a lack of grammar agility when it comes to speaking. When it comes to being an effective communicator, confidence is so important, and it can make up for some grammar problems. You have to work on your grammar, of course, but confidence is very, very important to being an excellent communicator, to being a good communicator. Confidence can make up for faults in other areas. It really can. To a certain extent, of course. Let's move on now and talk about our vocabulary of the day. Vocabulary of the day. All right, it's time for our vocabulary of the day. Our 5 words of vocabulary today. The first word is muñeca. Muñeca. Bueno, estamos hablando del juguete, which is doll. Muñeca is a doll. Of course, muñeca on your hand is your wrist. But what we're talking about is the doll. D-O-L-L, doll. Tambor. Instrumento, tambor. This is a drum. Drum. And we say la batería. We say the drums, to play the drums. To play, not to touch, but to play the drums. Terremoto. This is, yes, that's right. So remember to say all this, always repeat these out loud. The pronunciation is very important. Earthquake. 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 Yes, earthquake. Terremoto, earthquake. Violento. Embarazoso. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. What an embarrassing situation. Embarrassing. Embarrassing, we say. Ánimo. Aliento. Encouragement. Encouragement. I need a few words of encouragement sometimes. You can do it. So the verb to encourage, we encourage and we offer words of encouragement. Words of encouragement. To encourage. Now the last thing we see today, the last thing we have here in our class is the verb to afford. To afford, which is typically to be able to make the payments on something, to afford. I can't afford a Rolls Royce. I can afford a Ford, but I can't afford a Rolls Royce because it's too expensive. I can't afford it. I can't possibly afford a Rolls Royce. I don't have that kind of money. But we can also say, permitir el lujo de algo. So, to afford, for example, I can't afford to smoke 4 packs of cigarettes a day because it would be terrible for my health. I'm not talking about the financial consequence, but rather the consequence, what I pay in terms of my health. I can't afford to do that. Okay? So usually with money, but not necessarily. So we're saying the benefits of something are worth the cost or not worth the cost. I can't afford to do that. If it costs too much, I can't afford to do that. It's not good for my health. Or financially, I can't afford it. Okay? And I can't afford to carry on any longer because they're going to throw me out of the studio because we're completely out of time. But I want to thank you for listening. We're going to stop there, but I'll be back to review all of this and so much more tomorrow at the same time. I do hope you'll join me. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.